Hi, welcome to Sehtar. In today's episode, we are going to look into powerful communication. So, what is power when it comes to communication? What kind of skills are really important and very relevant when it comes to communication? And what is it that adds power to communication? These are the things that we are going to look into today, and with a little bit of focus on how you can use this to really create the future that you want so that you can live the life that you want. In other words, this is also called as attracting things into your life and also really doing it in a very subtle way that it really comes across as something that is beneficial for you and the people around you and whoever is involved. So it is actually good for you and everyone around you. Now, if the overall intent is anything otherwise, then that's going to be really very challenging. And if the overall benevolence and the overall good is taken into consideration, it becomes very, very normal and natural, and it really resonates with everyone concerned, and therefore it becomes very powerful. So we're going to go into a little more depth over the next few minutes, and we'll be covering more, especially when it comes to leadership positions and how you can use them. Also, what is it that you can do in order to move up the ranks or really grow in your career? So those are other things that we'll be covering more in upcoming episodes. We'll be looking into what is the real element that will add the power to your communication today. We'll begin there and then slowly, one by one, take it forward. So let's look at a couple of things. One is communication, and the other is effective communication, which by definition also means that there is some element of influence involved in a very, very positive sense, not in a very manipulating sense, because some of the secrets can also be used to manipulate, but that's not what we are looking into in our content. That's the reason why I really explained and also made it very clear that it has to be for the overall good. So where it's otherwise, then it kind of veers off into a different tangent, and that's not what we want to cover today. And at any point of time, what we are looking at is really good, positive influence, and influence being exercised in a way that's for the good. So when you're doing something for the good, then automatically there is some element of acceptance involved, which means you are getting more effective, and whoever is receiving the communication, they also see the good in it, they also see the benefit in it. So as long as you are able to add that clarity, then your communication is effective. Secondly, what you can also do is to actually plan it in such a way that the timing is very, very relevant, because as much as the information has to be relevant, even more important is the timing. The third element when it comes to powerful communication is an element of authority, meaning who in what position is saying whatever has been said or is being said, and what kind of authority do they have. What I mean by authority here is, are you really capable, and are you really someone who can be seen as an expert or specialist in what you're talking? That brings in some element of authority to it. Or are you saying by way of something that you have seen in your own life? Is it based on your experience? That is another element that can bring some sense of authority. The third one is, are you really bringing in some sort of a reference? So you are referring to some other person who has already been seen as an expert, and therefore you relying upon them means that you are adding more credibility to what you're saying. So what you say, what you are communicating is actually something that people can trust. So when you bring in these things like clarity, credibility, and trust, your communication is very, very effective and therefore very, very powerful. Now, all of these are more from a content point of view. The, the other layer, which is even more important, is the one that adds the presentation element to it, meaning how your communication is presented, how it is being received, and in what way or shape or form can you add more impressive attributes to your communication. So that would depend on where and how you're communicating, whether it is oral communication, whether it's written communication, whether it is general presentation, or is it a text-based communication like message or an email. So depending on the means, then you can add more color to it, you can add more visuals to it, you can add more elements that can be even more impressive, that can be even more powerful in how you are communicating. So those elements, while they can add more clarity and more color and more credibility and more trust, the last but not the least, is you being very natural, you being yourself, you being authentic. This is the fundamental, this is the most important. When you are just being yourself, people will be able to relate to you, people will be able to trust you, people can actually rely on you, and they will continue to rely on you. Whereas if you try to be someone else, then initially that may have a positive impact. However, sooner or later, you will be seen as just resembling somebody else, and you are just trying to fake it or mock it, and that's not going to be lasting long. However, if you are just being yourself, then that is really going to be very, very effective. Initially, that may not make a big difference, but in the longer term, trust me, that's the one thing that will be with you forever. And people will like you for that, people will trust you for that, people will be with you for you being yourself. So just be normal, natural, and be authentic. When it comes to powerful communication, there is one more element, that is the element of appreciation. Dale Carnegie summed it up very nicely when he said, the deepest craving in any human being is to be appreciated. Using the word craving, he is using the word craving. So just imagine for a moment, anybody and everybody who is a human being really want to be appreciated for who they are. Now this should not be flattery. You have to be very, very clear, this should not be flattery. This has to be genuine, where relevant, where applicable, from your heart, from the bottom of your heart. A genuine appreciation goes a real long way in adding a real positive impact. And therefore, do it where necessary in a very, very genuine way. Be very clear and straightforward, and do it in a nice, gentle way. If you could do that, then that really has a very, very strong impact, and it is even more from your heart, therefore it is genuine. So when it comes to powerful communication, what we have seen today is, to summarize, be natural, be normal, be authentic, be yourself, have clarity in what you're doing, make it very clear, be crystal clear and specific, and add the element of credibility so that people can trust you. If you could do all of these things, then your communication will be very powerful. And this may sound very simple or just so small points, but trust me, less is more when it comes to communication. So instead of just adding a lot of information and then trying to make an impression, just be yourself. Less is more. Just say what needs to be said, and that's good enough. That's fair enough. It will have a very big impact, because someone, I think it was Herbert who said very, 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 very nicely, a wealth of information may lead to poverty of attention. He was a Nobel Prize winner, and he sums it up very nicely. Wealth of information can actually lead to poverty of attention. Therefore, say what's needed. Just say it right, at the right time, in the right place, with the purpose being very clear. You'll go a long way in making a very powerful impact. Wishing you the very best, and we do hope that you will be able to gear up for success and victory and enjoy success and happiness in your life. Wishing you a very healthy, wealthy, and happy life. See you in the next episode. Have a nice day.